In a crowded Dallas terminal, Marcus Holloway, a black billionaire in a sleek suit, stumbles off Flight 492, wrists bleeding from tight handcuffs as cops shove him forward. A smug flight attendant, Karen Whitlock, watches, claiming he's dangerous. Minutes later, he owns Horizon Air with one call. Victory? Hardly. Her racist sneer sparked a firestorm, and the war's just starting. Years of chaos loom, threatening his empire. What unleashed this titan's wrath? Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from. If you stand for justice, hit like and subscribe for more epic battles. Marcus Holloway settled into his first-class seat on Flight 492, bound for Miami from Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, his mind already racing through the next big deal for his tech empire. At 42, he'd built a fortune from nothing, a black man who'd clawed his way up through sheer grit, turning a small coding gig into a billion-dollar conglomerate. Today, he wore a charcoal suit, crisp and understated, no gaudy watches or loud ties, just quiet power. His broad shoulders filled the seat, and his dark eyes scanned a tablet, fingers tapping out a quick message to his COO about a merger. The plane hummed with pre-takeoff bustle, passengers stowing bags, the air thick with that stale, recycled scent. He barely noticed the chaos, lost in numbers and strategy, until a shadow fell over him. Karen Whitlock loomed in the aisle, her wiry frame taut with irritation. She was in her late 20s, blonde hair pulled into a severe bun, her blue eyes narrowed like she'd already decided he didn't belong. Her uniform was pristine, badge gleaming, but her lips twisted into a thin line as she stared down at him. "Sir, you need to stop texting and put that thing away," she snapped, her voice cutting through the cabin's low murmur. It wasn't a request, it was an order, laced with something sour. Marcus glanced up, surprised but unfazed, and gave a small nod. "Sure, give me a second," he said, his tone even, fingers finishing the sentence. He'd flown 1,000 times. This was routine. But Karen didn't move. She crossed her arms, her foot tapping an impatient rhythm on the carpeted floor. "Now!" she barked, louder this time, drawing eyes from nearby seats. Marcus frowned, sensing the edge in her voice, the way it lingered on him like he was a problem to be solved. He locked the tablet, slid it into his bag, and met her gaze. "Done," he said, calm as ever, though a flicker of annoyance stirred in his chest. He wasn't here for a fight. Not today. But Karen's face hardened, her pale cheeks flushing red. "Don't get smart with me," she hissed, stepping closer. "People like you think the rules don't apply, don't you?" The words hit like a slap, sharp and deliberate, the people like you dripping with venom. Passengers turned, necks craning, a few whispering behind their hands. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he kept his cool. He'd heard that tone before, the one that saw his skin first and his worth never. "I followed your rule," he said, voice low, steady, trying to de-escalate. Inside, though, his pulse quickened, anger simmering beneath the surface. He wasn't some kid to be scolded. He owned skyscrapers, employed thousands. Yet here, in this cramped metal tube, he was just another target. Karen's eyes flashed and she leaned in, her breath hot with coffee and spite. "You're not listening. I said put it away, and you sat there like you're too good for it." Typical. The cabin went quiet, a dozen pairs of eyes boring into him. A white guy in a polo shirt smirked from across the aisle, muttering "troublemaker" under his breath. "Ma'am, it's off," Marcus said, holding up empty hands, but she was already past reason. Her hand shot to her radio and she barked into it. "Security to first class now. We've got a non-compliant passenger." Marcus blinked, disbelief washing over him. Non-compliant? For a 2-second delay? But he saw it in her face, the glint of triumph, the power trip. This wasn't about a tablet. It was about him, his blackness, daring to sit where she thought he shouldn't. The polo shirt guy chuckled, and a woman in a floral dress clutched her purse tighter, like he might lunge at her. The air thickened with judgment, and Marcus felt the old sting, the one he'd buried under years of success. Seconds later, Two burly security guards stormed down the aisle, their boots thudding, radios crackling. "Sir, you need to come with us," the bigger one growled, hand hovering near his taser. Marcus stood, 6'2" and solid, towering, over Karen, but he kept his movements slow, deliberate. "This is a mistake," he said, voice firm but controlled. "I did what she asked." Karen smirked, arms crossed again. "He's a threat. Refused to follow basic safety rules. I won't have it on my flight." The lie was so bold it almost impressed him, but the guards didn't care. They grabbed his arms, twisting them back, and the cold snap of handcuffs bit into his wrists. Pain shot up his forearms, but he bit it back, refusing to give her the satisfaction. Passengers gawked as they dragged him toward the exit, his polished shoes scuffing the floor. "Thug," someone muttered. "Should have listened," another hissed. A teenage girl filmed it on her phone, giggling like it was entertainment. Karen followed, her chin high, a queen victorious. Marcus's bag dangled from one guard's hand, his tablet peeking out, mocking him. The jet bridge loomed and they shoved him through, the door slamming shut behind. In the terminal, a crowd parted, staring, whispering. "What did he do?" a man asked. "Probably something stupid," a woman replied. Marcus stood there, cuffs cutting deeper, blood trickling down his hand, and felt the weight of every eye. Humiliation burned hot in his throat, but beneath it something colder took root. He'd been here before, a lifetime ago, a skinny kid in a rough neighborhood, dismissed, degraded. Back then, he'd had no power, no voice. Now, he was Marcus Holloway, a name that moved markets. And this? This was personal. Karen Whitlock didn't know it yet, but she just lit a match in a room full of gasoline. His phone buzzed in his pocket, unreachable with his hands bound. But he didn't need it yet. He knew who to call. The guards shoved him toward a holding area, their grips bruising, but his mind was already racing, plotting. "You're making a mistake," he said again, quieter this time, a promise more than a plea. They dumped him in a stark room, concrete, walls and a flickering light, uncuffing him with a grunt. His wrists throbbed red and raw, but he ignored it, pulling out his phone. One call, that's all it'd take. He dialed Olivia Grant, his lawyer, her voice crisp on the other end. "Marcus, what's wrong?" she asked, sensing the steel in his silence. "I just got kicked off a plane," he said, low and dangerous. "Some racist flight attendant lost her mind. I want Horizon Air, all of it now." Olivia didn't hesitate. "Give me 20 minutes. The line clicked dead, and Marcus leaned against the wall, staring at the blood on his cuff. Karen thought she'd won. She had no idea what was coming. Outside, the terminal buzzed with gossip, travelers swapping versions of the story. "He looks shady," one said. "Bet he started it," another chimed in. Marcus heard none of it, but he felt it. The same old script. Black man steps out of line, gets put in his place. Not this time. He closed his eyes, breathing deep. The fury coiling tighter. 20 minutes. That's all he needed to flip this upside down. Karen Whitlock had humiliated him in front of a plane full of strangers, turned his wealth into a punchline. She'd pay. Horizon Air would be his. And that was just the start. The door creaked open, a cop peering in, but Marcus was already gone, mentally miles ahead, ready to burn it all down. Marcus Holloway paced the cold holding room, his polished shoes clicking against the concrete, the sting of his raw wrists fueling a fire that wouldn't quit. Olivia Grant's voice still echoed in his head. 20 minutes. That's all she'd asked for, and he trusted her implicitly. She'd been his legal ace for a decade, a black woman who'd shredded corporate giants with a smile, her mind sharper than a blade. He checked his watch, a sleek steel piece worth more than most people's cars, counting down. 18 minutes. His phone vibrated and he snatched it up. "It's done," Olivia said, her tone clipped, triumphant. "Horizon Air's yours, controlling shares secured. You're the boss now." Marcus's lips twitched, not quite a smile, more a predator baring teeth. "Good. Get me to Houston. Their HQ. I've got a message to deliver." Within the hour, he was on a private jet, the cuffs a fading memory, replaced by a simmering resolve. Dallas-Fort Worth shrank beneath him as the plane cut through the Texas sky, landing at Houston's Hobby Airport in a blistering 40 minutes. A black SUV waited, engine purring, and whisked him to Horizon Air's headquarters, a gleaming glass tower piercing the humid skyline. He strode through the lobby, security parting like water, his suit still crisp despite the chaos. Employees gaped, whispers rippling. "Who's that?" "Looks pissed." Marcus didn't care. He'd just turned a racist slight into a billion-dollar power grab, and he wasn't here to play nice. The elevator shot him to the top floor, doors sliding open to a plush executive suite buzzing with confusion. Karen Whitlock stood near a coffee machine, chatting with a coworker, her uniform still pinned with that smug little badge. She didn't see him at first, laughing about that guy from the flight like it was a bar story. Marcus stepped forward, his shadow swallowing her. "Karen Whitlock," he said, voice low, cutting through the room like a gunshot. She spun, her smirk faltering as recognition hit. "You," she stammered, eyes darting. "What are you doing? Here?" He didn't blink. "I own this airline now. Bought it 20 minutes after you kicked me off. And you? You're fired. Pack your stuff." The room froze, her coworker backing away, coffee sloshing in his cup. Karen's face went white, then red, her mouth opening and closing like a fish on a hook. "You can't," she sputtered. "I've been here 5 years." "I can," Marcus said, stepping closer, his 6'2" frame towering over her wiry 5'5". "And I did. You thought you could humiliate me because of who I am? Wrong move." He nodded to security, new hires, loyal to him, who materialized from the hall. "Escort her out. Now." They grabbed her arms and she shrieked, flailing, as they hauled her toward the elevator. "This isn't fair," she yelled, voice echoing off the glass walls. "You're nobody." Marcus watched, stone-faced, as the doors shut on her tantrum. The suite erupted in murmurs, staff staring, some nodding approval, others shrinking back. Victory tasted sharp, electric, like biting into a live wire. He'd flipped the script, turned her power trip into dust. Or so he thought. He claimed the corner office, a sprawling space with a view of Houston's sprawl, and sank into the leather chair, already dialing Olivia. "She's gone," he said. "Next steps?" She chuckled. "You're trending online. Mystery billionaire. Buys airline. Enjoy it while it lasts." Marcus exhaled, leaning back, the city glinting below. For a moment, he let himself savor it. A black man owning the game that tried to break him. But the peace shattered fast. His phone buzzed again, this time with a news alert. Horizon Air takeover. Hostile thug bullies his way in. His stomach dropped. The article spun a lie. Marcus, a violent outsider, had intimidated shareholders into selling. Quotes from sources painted him as a brute, a black stereotype run wild. Rage flared, hot and immediate. This wasn't random. He dug deeper, fingers flying across his tablet, and found the puppet master, Victor Ramsey, Horizon's CEO. A 50-something white guy with a slick grin and a rap sheet of shady deals, Ramsey oozed old money arrogance. His photo screamed privilege. Tanned, skin, golf course hair, a suit that cost 6 figures. Marcus had met his type before, the kind who smiled while stabbing you in the back. Ramsey's statement to the press was a masterstroke of venom. "We won't let this thug destroy our legacy. Horizon fights back." The racial dog whistle was loud, and the internet ate it up. Comments flooded in. "He doesn't belong." Typical entitlement. Marcus slammed the tablet down, glass rattling. He'd won the airline, sure, but Ramsey wasn't rolling over. This was war, and the first volley had just landed. He called Olivia back, voice tight. "Ramsey's smearing me. Get our PR team on it. I want his lies buried." She paused, then said, "They're already moving. But Marcus, this is big. He's got pull. Be ready." He hung up, staring out the window, the city's lights blurring into a haze. Karen's firing felt like a pinprick now. Ramsey was the real threat, a racist titan with an empire to defend. Marcus had flipped the board, taken the king, but the game wasn't over. If anything, it was just heating up. Ramsey's counterstrike was slick, calculated, hitting him where it hurt. His reputation, his race. The sweet taste of victory soured fast, replaced by a gnawing certainty. This wasn't a win yet. It was a fuse lit and burning towards something uglier. Hey, what do you think of Marcus turning the tables on Karen like that? Comment number 1 if you'd cheer him taking down a racist bully, or number 2 if you think she deserved a second chance. Smash that like button if you're rooting for justice and subscribe to catch every twist in this wild ride. Marcus owned the airline in 20 minutes flat, but Ramsey's not backing down. Can you believe the nerve of that guy? What's he plotting next to drag Marcus through the mud? Stick around to find out how deep this rabbit hole goes. Marcus Holloway stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of his new office in Horizon Air's Houston headquarters, the city sprawling beneath him like a chessboard he'd just conquered. The leather chair behind him still smelled of fresh polish, and the desk gleamed under the soft glow of a modern lamp, a throne for a king who'd claimed his crown in 20 minutes flat. He'd fired Karen Whitlock hours ago, her scream still echoing in his mind. A small victory that felt like a fist raised against every slight he'd ever endured. His phone buzzed with updates from Olivia Grant, his lawyer, confirming the takeover was airtight. 51% of Horizon's shares locked in his name. He allowed himself a rare moment of pride, a black man who'd turned a racist's power trip into his own empire. The skyline shimmered, and for a heartbeat, he thought he'd won. Then the storm hit. His tablet pinged, a flood of notifications, lighting up the screen. Twitter was ablaze, hashtags like Horizon Thug and Black Bully trending nationwide. Marcus frowned, swiping through, and his gut twisted. Fake tweets, time-stamped minutes ago, screamed lies. Saw Marcus Holloway shove, that poor flight attendant, total psycho. Another, he threatened to kill her if she didn't back off, disgraceful. None of it was true, but the posts multiplied, racking up thousands of retweets. Photos surfaced too, grainy staged shots of a hulking figure looming over a cowering, blonde, captioned, "Billionaire brutality." His breath caught. It wasn't even him, just some stock image twisted to fit the narrative. The internet didn't care. Comments piled up, knew he was trouble. Rich doesn't mean civilized. The racism was blatant, a digital lynch mob forming in real time. He stormed to his desk, calling Olivia. "What the hell is this?" he growled, voice tight with fury. She was already on it, her calm cutting through his rage. "Ramsey's PR machine. They've got bots pushing this garbage and it's working. Your tech stock's dipping. Investors are spooked." Marcus slammed a fist on the desk, the lamp wobbling. "Shut it down," he said. "Now." She promised to counter, but the damage was spreading. His phone buzzed again, news alerts this time. "Protests erupt outside Holloway Tech HQ," one read. He pulled up a live stream, and his heart sank. A crowd swarmed his Dallas office, 200 strong, waving signs. "No thugs in charge. Keep Horizon white!" A bald guy in a red cap smashed a bottle against the glass doors, shouting slurs Marcus hadn't heard since he was a kid. The feed cut to a reporter, her blonde hair whipping in the wind. Marcus Holloway, the mysterious billionaire who seized Horizon Air today, faces backlash after allegations of violence. Sources say he bullied his way into power, leaving employees terrified. Marcus's jaw clenched so hard his teeth ached. Violence? He'd barely raised his voice. But the crowd didn't need truth. They had their scapegoat. A woman in a floral scarf waved a sign. "Send him back." Back where? He was born in Texas, raised on its dusty streets. This wasn't about facts. It was about his skin, his success, daring to rise too high. He traced the smear's roots, and every thread led to Victor Ramsey. The CEO's fingerprints were all over this. The timing, the bots, the paid agitators. Marcus's team confirmed it. Ramsey's PR firm had a history of dirty tricks, and this was their masterpiece. He fought back, fast and hard. Olivia unleashed a press release debunking the lies, while his cyber crew tracked the bots to a shady outfit in Austin, linked to Ramsey's payroll. Marcus filed a defamation suit by midnight, naming Ramsey and his cronies, demanding $10 million in damages. The filing hit the wires, and for a moment, He felt the tide shift. Legal analysts praised his move on late-night TV. Holloway's got a case. This is slander. Pure and simple. Twitter chatter softened, some calling Ramsey out. Dude's a snake. Marcus leaned back, exhaling. The city lights a quiet promise of control regained. He'd crushed Karen, owned the airline, and now he'd bury Ramsey in court. The win was close. He could taste it, sharp and satisfying, like biting into a ripe peach after a long drought. Then the window exploded. Glass sprayed across the room, a jagged shard slicing his cheek as he dove behind the desk. A brick thudded onto the carpet, rolling to a stop near his knee. He grabbed it, blood dripping onto his sleeve, and saw the word carved in crude, angry letters. Nar. His breath stopped, the slur a punch to the gut, dragging him back to every taunt, every closed door, every time he'd been told he didn't belong. He stumbled to the shattered window, 30 stories up, the night air howling through. Below, Houston glittered, oblivious, but up here, the message was clear. This wasn't just business anymore. It was hate, raw and personal. A vendetta with teeth. Security burst in, radios crackling, faces pale. "Sir, you okay?" one asked, a burly guy with a buzz cut. Marcus nodded, wiping blood with his cuff, the brick still clenched in his fist. "Find who did this," he said, voice low, dangerous. They scrambled, calling cops, sweeping the building, but Marcus knew it wasn't random. Ramsey's smear had lit a fuse, and this was the first blast. His team traced the brick's flight, thrown from a parking garage across the street. No cameras, no witnesses. A ghost strike. Olivia called, frantic. "Marcus, this is escalating. You need protection." He cut her off. "I need answers. Dig deeper." She agreed, but her silence said it. This was bigger than they'd thought. He sat back, the office a war zone of glass and shadows, the brick heavy in his lap. The protests, the fake tweets, now this. Ramsey wasn't just fighting. For Horizon, he was fighting to erase Marcus, to prove a black man couldn't win. Not here. Not ever. The defamation suit felt puny now, a paper shield against a tidal wave. Marcus's triumph, owning the airline in 20 minutes, was supposed to be his. Middle finger to racism, a story for the ages. Instead, it was crumbling piece by piece, under a hate he couldn't outrun. Karen's smirk flashed in his mind, then Ramsey's slick grin. They'd misjudged him, sure, but he'd underestimated them too. This wasn't a win slipping away. It was a trap snapping shut, and he was the prey. The cut on his cheek stung, blood drying sticky against his skin, but he barely felt it. His mind raced, plotting. He'd sue, he'd fight, he'd win. Again. But that brick said something else. They wouldn't stop. Not with words, not with lawsuits. This was a beast with claws, and it wanted blood. Marcus gripped the brick tighter, the slur searing into his palm. He'd built an empire on calculated moves, but this was chaos, and it was personal. The office phone rang, a shrill note in the silence, but he ignored it, staring at the city below. Horizon Air was his. Yeah, but at what cost? And who was coming for him next? Marcus Holloway sat in his shattered Houston office, the brick with its hateful slur still clenched in his fist, glass crunching under his shoes as he paced. The city lights flickered beyond the broken window, a mocking reminder of the empire. He'd seized in 20 minutes, Horizon Air, his trophy, now a target. The defamation suit against Victor Ramsey was filed, a $10 million hammer ready to drop, and his team was clawing back control of the narrative. Olivia Grant's voice crackled through a late-night call, steady as ever. "We've got traction, Marcus. The bots are slowing and the suit's making waves. Ramsey's sweating." He nodded, wiping dried blood from his cheek, the cut a dull ache. "Keep pushing," he said, voice rough. "I want him buried." She agreed, and he hung up, feeling the tide turn. The protests outside his tech HQ had thinned, the media buzzing with his countermove. He was winning again, or so it seemed. Then the world flipped. At 3 a.m, sirens wailed outside his Dallas penthouse, a sleek fortress 30 floors above the city. Marcus jolted awake, heart pounding, as red and blue lights stabbed through his blinds. He stumbled to the window in a t-shirt and sweats, peering down. Cop cars swarmed the street, a dozen at least, officers spilling out like ants, guns drawn. "What the hell?" he muttered, grabbing his phone. Before he could dial Olivia, his door crashed open, wood splintering, and 6 SWAT officers stormed in, black tactical gear gleaming under the hall lights. "Marcus Holloway," one bellowed, a stocky guy with a buzz cut leveling a rifle. "Hands up now." Marcus froze, shock rooting him to the spot, then raised his arms slow, palms open. "What's this about?" he demanded, voice steady despite the chaos. "Tax fraud," the leader barked, stepping forward, cuffs dangling from his belt. "Anonymous. Tip, you're coming with us." Marcus's mind raced. Tax fraud? He paid millions in taxes, every cent tracked by a team of accountants. This was nonsense. "You've got the wrong guy," he said. But they didn't listen. 2 grabbed his arms, twisting them back, and the cuffs snapped on, tighter than the ones from the plane, metal biting into his still raw wrists. Pain flared, but he swallowed it, glaring as they shoved him toward the door. His phone clattered to the floor, screen flashing Olivia's name. She'd called back too late. Neighbors peeked from cracked doors, whispering, their eyes wide with fear or judgment. "Told you he was shady," one hissed, a white guy in a robe, clutching a coffee mug like a shield. They hauled him down the elevator, the mirrored walls, reflecting a man he barely recognized, disheveled, cuffed, powerless despite his billions. The lobby buzzed with onlookers, phones out, filming his walk of shame. "Millionaire caught red-handed," a kid shouted, grinning. Marcus kept his head high, but inside, fury boiled. This wasn't random. It reeked of Ramsey, a counterstrike, to his lawsuit. The cops tossed him into a squad car, tires squealing as they sped to the station, a gray box of a building on Dallas's edge. In a stark interrogation room, they sat him across from a detective, a wiry man with a mustache and cold eyes. "You've been dodging taxes for years," he said, sliding a file across the table. "Shell companies, offshore accounts. We've got proof." Marcus leaned forward, wrists throbbing under the cuffs. "That's a lie. Check my records. I'm clean." The detective smirked, flipping open the file. Bank statements stared back, accounts Marcus had never seen, millions funneled through fake firms in his name. "Found these in a raid on your office," the cop said. "Tip came in an hour ago." Marcus's blood ran cold. Planted. Someone had breached his security, fabricated this overnight. He demanded his lawyer, and they let him call Olivia from a grimy wall phone. "Set up," he said when she picked up, voice low. "Fake docs, cops everywhere. Ramsey's behind it." She cursed softly. "I'm there in 30. Don't say a word." Hours dragged in that room, the clock ticking past dawn, his mind spinning. Olivia arrived, sharp in a navy suit, and tore into the detective, demanding evidence trails. By noon, she'd bailed him out. $500,000 cash. He barely noticed, but the damage was done. News vans camped outside, cameras flashing as he stepped into daylight, Olivia shielding him. "Billionaire Holloway arrested in tax scandal," the headline screamed. His accounts froze, feds seizing his tech firm's assets, claiming ongoing investigation. Marcus climbed into Olivia's car, fists clenched, and saw it. A TV screen in a diner window, Karen Whitlock's face plastered across it. She sat, with a reporter, teary-eyed, spinning a tale. "He threatened me on that plane, said he'd ruin my life. I feared for my safety." His stomach lurched. She was back, weaponized by Ramsey, her lies the perfect fuel for this ambush. "She's their pawn," Olivia said, gripping the wheel. "This is coordinated. Cops, media, all of it." Marcus nodded, piecing it together. The brick, the protests, now this. Ramsey wasn't just smearing him, he was dismantling him, brick by brick, using the system as a battering ram. Olivia's team dug fast, tracing the tip to a burner phone, but the real blow came that night. A whistleblower from Horizon leaked texts. Ramsey bragging to a judge, "Holloway's done. Paid you well, didn't I?" The judge, a good, old boy from Ramsey's golf club, had greenlit the raid, no questions asked. Marcus struck back, hard. Olivia filed an emergency motion, exposing the bribe with the texts, and by morning, the charges wavered. The judge recused himself, sweating on live TV, and the feds backed off, unfreezing his accounts. Marcus walked free, the courthouse steps a battlefield, reporters shouting questions he ignored. He'd beaten it, again. The planted docs crumbled, under scrutiny, his accountants proving every dollar legit. Ramsey's gambit had failed, and Marcus felt the rush, the thrill of outsmarting a rigged game. He called Olivia from his penthouse, voice steady. "We've got him now. Sue that judge, too." She laughed, a rare sound. Already drafting it. But the win was a mirage. That night, alone in his penthouse, the TV flickered on, Ramsey's face filling the screen. "Holloway's a fraud," he said, slick as oil, addressing shareholders via livestream. "We're calling an emergency vote to oust him. Horizon won't bow to this thug." Marcus stared, the room tilting. Shareholders, Ramsey's loyalists, could undo everything, strip him of the airline he'd fought for. His phone lit up, Olivia again. "He's rallying them now. We've got hours to stop it." Marcus's triumph evaporated, replaced by dread. The raid was a distraction, a feint to soften him up. Karen's sob story, the judge's bribe. This was Ramsey's real play, a knife aimed at his heart. He sank onto the couch, the city's hum a dull roar beyond the glass. He'd owned Horizon in 20 minutes, turned Karen's racism into his victory, but Ramsey wouldn't quit. This wasn't just about an airline anymore. It was a racist system, coiled tight, striking every time he rose. The cuffs, the lies, the frozen accounts, they'd tried to break him, and he'd survived. But now, shareholders could vote him out, erase his stake, all because he dared to be black and powerful. His hands shook, not with fear, but rage. He'd sue, he'd fight, he'd win. Again. But Ramsey's game was bigger, uglier, a machine built to crush him, and it was closing in fast. Marcus Holloway stood in his Dallas penthouse, the city's skyline a jagged silhouette beyond the glass, his hands still trembling from the latest blow. Victor Ramsey's shareholder vote loomed like a guillotine, poised to strip him of Horizon, ere the empire he'd seized in 20 minutes after Karen Whitlock's racist stunt. The TV droned on, Ramsey's oily voice promising to save the airline from that thug, every word a dog whistle dripping with hate. Marcus's accounts were unfrozen, the tax fraud charges dead, but this new threat was a gut punch. He'd beaten the raid, exposed the crooked judge, but Ramsey kept coming, a hydra with endless heads. Olivia Grant's call still echoed. "Hours, Marcus. We've got hours." He wasn't losing this, not after everything, not to them. He called in the cavalry. Olivia rallied their legal team, while Marcus hired a crack squad of private investigators, ex-cops and tech whizzes who could dig up dirt faster than a bloodhound. They hit pay dirt by dawn, audio files from a whistleblower, Ramsey ranting at a private club, slurs flying like bullets. "Holloway's a monkey in a suit," he sneered, voice slurred with whiskey. "No black bastards taking my airline." Marcus listened, jaw tight, the words a match to his rage. This wasn't just business, it was personal, a crusade to keep him down. The PIs traced the recording to a golf buddy's phone, leaked it to Olivia, and she grinned over the line. "This is gold. We go public now." Marcus didn't hesitate. He scheduled a press conference for noon, renting a sleek venue downtown, all glass and steel, a stage to reclaim his narrative. His team worked overtime, prepping visuals, the audio, the judge's texts, proof of Ramsey's lies. By 11, reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, the air thick with anticipation. Marcus stepped out, charcoal suit crisp, a bandage on his cheek. From the brick incident, his 6'2" frame commanding the room. "I'm Marcus Holloway," he began, voice deep, steady, cutting through the buzz. "I bought Horizon airfare fair and square. Victor Ramsey's trying to steal it back with lies and hate. Here's the truth." He played the recording, Ramsey's, venom blasting through speakers, gasps rippling through the crowd. The room erupted. Reporters scribbled, phones lit up, and the audio looped on screens. "Monkey in a suit." Marcus held up the brick, the slur carved in its surface, and said, "This came through my window. This is what they think of me. A black man daring to win. Ramsey's not fighting for Horizon. He's fighting to keep people like me out." Cheers broke out, loud and raw, from a cluster of supporters in the back. Black and brown faces, some. White allies, fists raised. The press turned on Ramsey, questions flying. How's he still CEO? Is this legal? Marcus laid out the defamation suit, the judge's bribe, the fake tax raid, every racist jab they'd thrown. "I'm not the thug here," he finished, eyes blazing. "They are." Twitter exploded. Justice for Marcus trended, clips of his speech racking up millions of views. Shareholders wavered, calls flooding Horizon's board, and by dusk, they say, vote stalled. Ramsey's cronies scrambling, his grip slipping. Marcus watched from his penthouse, a rare smile tugging at his lips. The audio had shamed Ramsey publicly, turned the tide. His tech stock rebounded, investors texting apologies, and Horizon staff sent quiet nods of respect via email. He'd flipped it again, taken their hate and made it a weapon. Olivia called triumphant. "You've got him running, Marcus. The board spooked. We're back in control." He exhaled, tension easing, the city's hum a victory anthem. He'd won. Again. Then the world shook. A blast roared outside, a fireball blooming 50 feet from his parked SUV, glass and metal raining down. Marcus hit the floor, heart slamming, as the penthouse windows rattled, cracks spidering across. The panes. Smoke billowed up thick and black, sirens screaming in the distance. He crawled to the edge, peering out, and saw it. His car, a charred skeleton, flames licking the pavement. Security burst in, shouting, "Sir, you hurt?" He shook his head, adrenaline surging, and pointed to the wreckage. "Check it," he rasped, voice raw. They radioed for backup, cops swarming the scene, and found it fast. A pipe bomb, crude but lethal, wired to blow when he'd have been inside. A note fluttered near the wreckage, singed but readable. "You don't belong here." Marcus snatched it from a cop's gloved hand, the handwriting shaky, familiar. His PIs confirmed it hours later, matching it to Karen Whitlock's scrawl from old Horizon logs. She'd vanished after her firing, but now she was back, a ghost with a grudge. Marcus's stomach churned. The win, his press conference, Ramsey's humiliation, dissolved in that blast. Karen wasn't just a pawn. She was a player. Her racism, a Molotov cocktail aimed at his life. Olivia arrived, face pale. "She's unhinged, Marcus. We need feds on this." He nodded, but his mind raced elsewhere. Ramsey's audio had stung, sure. But this? This was bloodlust. A line crossed into murder. He sat on the couch, the note crumpled in his fist, the city a blur beyond the cracked glass. Security swept the building, cops cordoning off the street, but Marcus barely heard them. He'd taken Horizon, fired Karen, shamed Ramsey, each victory a brick in his wall. Now, that wall was crumbling, not from lawsuits or smears, but a bomb meant to erase him. Karen's hand? Yeah, but Ramsey's shadow loomed behind it, a puppet master who'd rather see him dead than in charge. The cheers from the press conference faded, replaced by a chilling truth. This wasn't over. It was war, and they'd just drawn first blood. How wild is that? Marcus turned Ramsey's hate into a knockout punch, but Karen's bomb flipped everything. Comment number 1 if you think he's unstoppable, even against these racists, or number 2 if you're worried he's in over his head. Hit that like button if you're fired up for his fight, and subscribe to see how he battles back from this insanity. He's got Horizon in his grip, but a pipe bomb? That's next level. What's Karen cooking up now to finish what she started? Stay tuned to find out. Marcus Holloway stood in his Dallas penthouse, the cracked windows a jagged frame to the smoldering wreckage of his SUV below. The pipe bomb's echo still rang in his ears, Karen Whitlock's singed note, "You don't belong here," crumpled in his fist, her handwriting a venomous signature. Cops swarmed the street, their flashlights slicing through the night while his security team swept the building, faces tight with urgency. Olivia Grant paced nearby, phone pressed to her ear, barking at feds to trace the bomb. "It's Karen," Marcus said, voice low, certain. "She's lost it." Olivia nodded, hanging up. PIs matched the note. Her brother's involved too. Travis Whitlock, ex-con. Extremist ties. "We're closing in." Marcus clenched his jaw, the cut on his cheek throbbing. He'd taken Horizon Air in 20 minutes, turned Ramsey's hate into a public shaming. But this was a death wish aimed at his heart. He tightened security, doubling his guards, ex-Marines, stone-faced pros who shadowed his every step. The PIs worked fast, tracking Travis to a run-down trailer park outside Houston, a squat figure with a shaved head and a rap sheet for hate crimes. Cops raided it at dawn, hauling him in, his sneer caught on body cams as he spat, "My sisters, right, you're a plague." Bomb-making gear littered the place, pipes, wires, a blueprint of Marcus's parking garage. Travis confessed in hours, fingering Karen as the mastermind. "She wanted you gone," he growled, cuffed in a cell. Marcus watched the interrogation feed from his office, the brick-scarred room now a war bunker, monitors glowing with evidence. Karen was still out there, a ghost in the wind, but her brother's arrest felt like a win, a crack in their armor. He turned to Ramsey next, the real puppet master. Olivia's team dug deeper, unearthing bank records, $10,000 wired from Ramsey's personal account to a shell company, then to Travis's crew. "Funding the bomb," Olivia said, sliding the proof across his desk. Marcus's blood boiled. Ramsey wasn't just smearing him. He was bankrolling murder. He struck back, calling an emergency board meeting at Horizon's Houston HQ. The glass-walled room buzzed with tension, half the execs Ramsey loyalists, their ties crisp, eyes shifty. Marcus strode in, 6'2" of controlled fury, and dropped, the bank records like a grenade. "Ramsey paid for a bomb to kill me," he said, voice cutting through their murmurs. "He's out. You're out if you back him." The board split, chaos erupting. 3 execs, old white guys with golf tans, stood shouting about due process, but Marcus didn't flinch. He'd bought Horizon Fair, owned 51%, and their votes couldn't touch him. "You're fired," he said, pointing at each. Security escorted them out, their curses bouncing off the walls. The rest stayed, silent, cowed. By noon, he'd purged Ramsey's inner circle, replacing them with his own. Sharp, loyal hires from his tech empire. Horizon stabilized, flights running, stock ticking up. He rebuilt fast, hiring contractors to fix his office window, the brick's slur erased under fresh glass. Calm settled, a fragile peace after weeks of war. He'd crushed Travis, sidelined, Ramsey, taken back control. The win tasted hard-earned, like sweat and steel. Then the phone rang, shattering it all. It was his sister, Lena, her voice a scream through static. "Marcus, my house, it's burning." His heart stopped. Lena lived 30 miles north, a cozy ranch in Plano, her sanctuary with her 2 kids. He bolted from the office, SUV roaring through traffic, guards trailing in a second car. Smoke choked the horizon as he neared, a black plume clawing the sky. Fire trucks wailed, hoses blasting, but the house was a pyre, flames devouring the roof, windows exploding in showers of glass. Lena stood on the lawn, clutching her boys, tears streaking her face. "We got out," she sobbed as he ran to her, pulling them close. "Someone threw a bottle. Gasoline. I saw her." "Her?" Marcus rasped, dread icing his veins. Lena pointed across the street where neighbors gawked. Blonde, skinny, she ran that way. His stomach dropped. Karen. He spun to his guards. "Find her. Now." They fanned out, radios crackling, while firefighters battled the blaze, losing ground fast. Marcus knelt with Lena, her kids trembling. The youngest, Jaden, just 6, coughing smoke. "Why, Uncle Marcus?" he whispered. Marcus had no answer, just rage, a volcano ready to blow. The PIs called minutes later. A grainy doorbell cam from a neighbor showed Karen, hood up, tossing a Molotov cocktail. Her smirk clear as day before she fled into the dusk. His triumph turned to ash, bitter and choking. He'd jailed Travis, fired Ramsey's cronies, thought he'd caged the beast. But Karen was a wildfire, spreading, striking his family. His blood. Lena's home was gone. Photos, toys, memories, torched, all because he dared to rise. He stood, fists clenched, watching the flames die to embers, the night closing in. Cops arrived, taking statements, but Marcus barely heard them. His guards returned, empty-handed. Karen had vanished. Again, a phantom with a match. Olivia pulled up, face grim. "Ramsey's clean on this one," she said. "No direct link. It's all her." Marcus shook his head. "He's in it. I feel it." She didn't argue, just handed him a burner phone. "Feds are on Travis. We'll get her!" He drove Lena and the kids to his penthouse, the charred smell clinging to their clothes. Jaden's whimpers cutting deeper than any bomb. Security locked the building down, guards at every exit, but Marcus couldn't sit still. He paced, the city a dark blur beyond the glass, replaying Karen's smirk, Ramsey's sneer. He'd taken Horizon in 20 minutes, turned their hate into victories. Press conferences, lawsuits, purges. Each win built a wall, and each time they tore it down harder. The bomb was a warning. This was a gutting. His sister's life, her kid's safety. Collateral in a war he didn't start, but couldn't escape. Racism wasn't just words now. It was fire, aimed at his soul. He sank into a chair, the burner phone heavy in his hand. Travis was locked up, Ramsey's board cronies gone. But Karen was free, a blade in the dark. And Ramsey? Still out there, pulling strings, his money a lifeline to this madness. Marcus had rebuilt Horizon, stabilized it, but at what cost? Lena's voice broke the silence, soft from the guest room. "Marcus, we're okay. Stop blaming yourself." He couldn't. This was his fight, his rise, and they'd paid for it. The calm he'd clawed back was a lie, a breath before the next blow. Karen's arson wasn't the end, it was a promise, and Ramsey's shadow loomed unyielding, ready to strike again. Marcus Holloway sat in his Dallas penthouse, the city's lights a faint pulse beyond the reinforced glass. His sister Lena and her kids asleep in the guest room, their coughs from the smoke still haunting the silence. The charred remains of her Plano home burned in his mind, Karen Whitlock's smirk on that doorbell cam a taunt he couldn't shake. Travis, her extremist brother, was behind bars, his bomb plot foiled, and Marcus had purged Victor Ramsey's cronies from Horizon Airs, bored, locking down his control. But the arson had gutted him, his family targeted, his victory hollowed out by a racism that wouldn't quit. He gripped the burner phone Olivia Grant had given him, its weight a lifeline to the feds hunting Karen. Enough was enough. He'd end this, whatever it took. He vowed revenge, cold and calculated, the kind he'd built his tech empire on. "Ramsey's next," he told Olivia over a secure line, voice like steel. "Karen's a symptom, he's the disease." She agreed, her tone sharp. "We've got his bank records tying him to Travis. Let's bury him." Marcus hired more private eyes, a gritty crew of ex-FBI types who thrived on digging up skeletons. They scoured Ramsey's life, offshore accounts, shady deals, anything, to nail him. Meanwhile, he fortified his world. Armed guards at the penthouse, bulletproof SUVs, Horizon's HQ a fortress with new locks and cameras. Lena begged him to stop, her eyes red from crying. "You're tearing yourself apart, Marcus." He hugged her tight, whispering, "I can't. Not yet." This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about them, his blood, caught in the crossfire. The PIs struck gold in days, unearthing a bombshell. Ramsey's emails plotting to neutralize Marcus, coded but damning. "He's too big now," one read. "Needs to go down hard." Marcus smirked, handing the files to Olivia. "Press it," he said. She filed a new suit, conspiracy to commit murder, stacking it on the defamation case, a legal 1-2 punch. He felt safe finally, his inner circle tight. Olivia, his guards, his CFO, Derek Sims, a lanky black man who'd been with him since the tech startup days. Derek had stood by him through the tax raid, the bomb, the arson, crunching numbers, to keep Horizon afloat. "We've got this, boss," Derek said that morning, clapping Marcus's shoulder in the penthouse kitchen, his grin wide. Marcus trusted him, a brother in arms against the storm. Then it cracked apart. Derek called at noon, voice shaky. "Marcus, check the news, now." He flipped on the TV and his world tilted. Holloway tech expansion leaked. Rival Horizon exec scoops plans. The ticker blared. A reporter stood outside Ramsey's Houston mansion, holding papers Marcus knew by heart. His blueprint to grow Horizon into a global giant. New routes, fleet upgrades, all secret until now. Ramsey grinned on screen, smug as ever. Guess Holloway's not as smart as he thinks. We're beating him at his own game. Marcus's stomach dropped. Those plans were locked in his office, shared only with Derek. He turned, slow, and saw Derek at the counter, eyes down, hands trembling. "You?" Marcus rasped, voice ablade. Derek flinched, stepping back. "Marcus, I didn't mean..." "Ramsey offered 20 million, said he'd tank us if I didn't. I thought..." Marcus lunged, grabbing his collar, slamming him against the fridge. "You thought what? You'd sell me out? After everything?" Derek's eyes welled, but Marcus saw it. Guilt, yes, but prejudice too. A flicker of resentment. "You're too big, man," Derek stammered. "Too loud. They hate us enough. Already." The words hit like a slap. Derek, his friend, bought into the same racist fear Ramsey peddled. Marcus shoved him away, chest heaving. "You're done. Get out." Security dragged Derek off, his pleas fading down the hall. But the damage was done. Horizon's stock tanked 10% in hours, Ramsey undercutting every move with Marcus's own playbook. He scrambled to stabilize it, calling Olivia, his new board, anyone left he could trust. They slashed the leaked plans, pivoted to uncharted routes, Asia, Africa, pouring millions to outpace Ramsey's theft. By dusk, the bleeding stopped, stock steadying, but Marcus's trust was ash. Derek's betrayal cut deeper than the bomb, the arson. A knife from within, not without. He sat alone, the penthouse a tomb, replaying every moment with Derek, searching for signs he'd missed. The man who'd toasted his first billion, who'd hugged Lena at Thanksgiving, had sold him for cash and cowardice. Horizon was his, yeah, but the walls were closing in, every win a setup for a harder fall. Then the sirens hit again. At midnight, SWAT vans screeched into the penthouse garage, lights flashing, megaphones blaring. "Marcus Holloway, come out. Drug trafficking." He bolted to the window, heart racing, and saw them, cops in riot gear, rifles up, a dozen strong. "Not again," he muttered, grabbing the burner. Olivia answered, frantic. "Ramsey's cop buddies. False tip. Planted coke in your car. I'm en route." They smashed through the lobby, boots thundering, and Marcus braced himself, hands up as the door burst open. "On the floor!" a beefy officer roared, slamming him down, knee in his back. Cuffs snapped on, his face pressed to the cold tile, and he saw it. A baggie of white powder tossed from a cop's pocket. Found, in plain sight. They hauled him to the station, a rerun of the tax raid but uglier, cameras flashing outside, headlines already screaming, "Billionaire drug lord busted." Marcus sat in a cell, wrists bruised, the setup blatant but ironclad. Ramsey's reach deep in Dallas PD. Olivia arrived at dawn, furious, tearing into the precinct with warrants and threats. "This is garbage," she snapped, showing body. Cam glitches proving the plant. By noon, he was out, charges dropped, the cops red-faced, but the stain lingered. News ran wild. Holloway beats rap again, guilty or framed. His allies dwindled, board members texting doubts, investors pulling back. Derek's leak had softened him, and Ramsey's cops had pounced, a tag team gutting his empire. He returned to the penthouse, Lena waiting, her eyes wide. "Marcus, this has to stop," she said, voice breaking. He sank beside her, head in hands, the city a dark sprawl beyond. He'd vowed revenge, hired the best, cut Derek loose, beaten the raid, again. Each win built him up, and each time they hit harder. The bomb, the arson, now this. Ramsey and Karen weren't just fighting for Horizon. They were fighting to erase him, a black man who dared too much. His trust was gone, his circle shattered, and the SWAT cuffs still burned in his mind. He'd stabilized Horizon, sure, but at what cost? And who else was waiting to stab him in the back? Marcus Holloway stood in his Dallas penthouse, the city's skyline a faint shimmer through bulletproof glass, the sting of Derek Sims's betrayal still raw in his chest. The SWAT raid's echoes, cuffs, planted drugs, Ramsey's cop cronies, lingered, like a bruise, but he'd beaten it. Olivia Grant shredding the setup with ruthless precision. Horizon Air teetered, his empire battered by leaks and lies, but Marcus wasn't done. He'd taken it in 20 minutes, turned Karen Whitlock's racism into a launch pad, and he'd be damned if Ramsey stole it back. "He's bleeding us dry," he told Olivia over a secure line, voice a low growl. "Time to bleed him." She didn't hesitate. "I've got a play. Risky, but it'll gut him." Marcus smirked, the first spark of hope in days. "Do it." He pivoted, weaponizing his wealth like a sledgehammer. Olivia's team dug into Ramsey's finances, unearthing a web of debt. Loans from shady banks, millions tied to Horizon's failing pre-takeover days. Marcus moved fast, buying it all up through shell companies, a silent predator snapping up every IOU. By week's end, he owned Ramsey's lifeline, $20 million in notes, callable at his whim. He struck at dawn, faxing demands to Ramsey's Houston mansion, pay up or fold. Ramsey's empire crumbled in hours, his tech ventures bankrupt, his house seized, his golf buddies bailing. Horizon's board, purged of his loyalists, cheered. Marcus's coup, stock soaring as he ousted the last of Ramsey's cronies. 2 VPs caught shredding files, fired on the spot. He sat in his office, the new glass window gleaming, and felt it. Control, hard won, his again. The city buzzed with his victory. Holloway crushes Ramsey in corporate blitz. Headlines roared, analysts praising his genius ruthlessness. He rebuilt Horizon's image, pumping millions into ads, sleek jets, smiling staff, a promise of fairness. Shareholders toasted him via Zoom, his tech firm rebounding, doubters silenced. Lena hugged him that night, her kids asleep, the penthouse a fortress of quiet triumph. "You did it, Marcus," she whispered. He nodded, the weight lifting, if only a little. Karen was still out there, Travis jailed, but Ramsey was done. Broke, powerless, a ghost of the slick CEO who'd bankrolled bombs and raids. Marcus thought he was untouchable, a titan who'd flipped the game once more, his empire rising from every ashes they'd thrown. Then Karen resurfaced, a venomous phoenix. He flipped on the TV at midnight, restless, and froze. There she was, blonde hair primped, eyes teary on a national cable show, some late-night sobfest with a fawning host. "I was victimized," she whined, voice trembling, a perfect act. "Marcus Holloway terrorized me on that plane, threatened my life, then stole my career. I'm the real victim here." The host nodded, clutching her hand, while a ticker ran. "Flight attendant fights back against billionaire bully." Marcus's jaw dropped, rage surging. Lies, every word, but the screen flashed old footage, him cuffed, dragged off Flight 492, twisted to fit her tail. Twitter reignited. Karen Strong. Trending, racists rallying, "She's a hero. Holloway's the thug." He called Olivia, pacing, the city a blur beyond the glass. "She's back," he snapped, turning it all upside down. Olivia cursed. "Ramsey's broke, but someone's funding her. New PR team, slick production. We'll trace it." Marcus slammed a fist on the counter, the burner phone rattling. He'd crushed Ramsey, thought Karen was a fading echo, but here she was, a media darling, flipping his wins into her martyrdom. Protests flared again, smaller but louder, outside Horizon's HQ, signs screaming, "Justice for Karen." He doubled security, guards patrolling, but the damage spread. Stock dipped, board members texting nerves, his triumph souring under her crocodile tears. Then the shot came. He attended a gala that night, a black tie affair in Houston to celebrate Horizon's rebound, a ballroom of suits and champagne. He stepped onto the balcony for air, the humid night thick with cicadas, when a crack split the silence. Pain seared his shoulder, blood blooming on his tux, and he dropped, glass shattering around him. A sniper, perched across the street, vanished as screams erupted inside. Guards tackled him, dragging him to cover, medics rushing in. "Grazed," one said, bandaging fast, but Marcus's ears rang, the voice whispering as he fell. For Karen. His team found the shell, a .308 round, pro-grade, fired from a rooftop, no prints, no trace. He survived, patched up in a private hospital room, Olivia at his side, face grim. "She's behind it," he rasped, shoulder throbbing. "Her or Ramsey's ghost?" Olivia nodded, digging already. "Feds are on it. Sniper's a pro, hired hit." By morning, they traced cash, offshore accounts, Ramsey's old stash, funneled to a burner linked to Karen's new PR crew. He was broke, yeah, but his hate lingered, bankrolling her comeback. Marcus stared at the ceiling, IV dripping, the gala's cheers a distant memory. He'd gutted Ramsey, rebuilt Horizon, thought he'd won. Again. But Karen's sob story and that bullet said otherwise. They were a hydra, heads regrowing, each strike fiercer, deadlier. He discharged himself at dawn, shoulders stiff but functional, the penthouse his war room once more. Lena begged him to rest, her voice cracking, but he couldn't. "They shot. Me, Lena," he said, eyes hard. "They won't stop." She cried, but he turned away, calling Olivia. Find her money. Cut it off. His win, Ramsey's ruin, Horizon's rise, was a sandcastle, crumbling under Karen's lies and Ramsey's last gasp. The sniper missed, but the message hit. He wasn't safe. Not yet. His empire stood, but they'd turned his victories into targets, his blood a prize. And they were still out there, plotting, unbowed. Whoa, can you believe Marcus flipped Ramsey's game like that? Comment number 1 if you're cheering his corporate knockout, or number 2 if you think Karen's sob stories got legs. Smash that like button if you're hooked on his fight against these snakes, and subscribe to catch every brutal twist. He's a titan taking down giants. But a sniper? That's cold. What's Ramsey's next move from the grave? Or is Karen running this show solo now? Stick around to see how Marcus dodges the next bullet. Marcus Holloway sat in his Dallas penthouse, the city's glow a muted haze through bulletproof glass, his bandaged shoulder a dull ache from the sniper's graze at the Houston Gala. Karen Whitlock's teary TV lies still echoed. Her, I chose Karen strong, campaign reigniting racist mobs, while Victor Ramsey's offshore cash, traced by Olivia Grant's team, proved he'd funded her comeback, even from bankruptcy's edge. Horizon Air stood tall, its stock rebounding after Marcus's corporate gutting of Ramsey, but the winds felt like sand slipping through his fingers. The bomb, the arson, the bullet, they'd struck his car, his sister's home, his flesh, each blow harder, closer. He doubled security, turning his world into a fortress. Ex-Special Forces guards at every door, drones patrolling the penthouse roof, his SUVs armored like tanks. No more chances, he told Olivia, voice a low growl. They're done. She nodded, her navy suit crisp despite the late hour, handing him a tablet with fresh dirt. Ramsey's accounts. 5 million left, wired to a militia group tied to Karen's brother, Travis. They're arming up. Marcus's jaw tightened, the memory of Lena's burning house flashing, Karen's Molotov, her smirk. Travis was jailed, but his crew wasn't, and Ramsey's money kept them alive. Marcus's PIs tracked the funds to a warehouse in East Texas, a squat concrete box buzzing with skinheads and guns. He called in a favor, feds he'd bankrolled for years, and they raided it at dawn, seizing rifles, C4, a hit list with his name circled in red. 3 arrests, but the leader slipped, a ghost like Karen. Marcus exhaled, the penthouse quiet, Lena and her kids asleep. He'd stopped another strike, cut their cash. He could breathe, almost. Then his nephew vanished. It was noon, a sunny Tuesday. Jaden, Lena's 6-year-old, all gap teeth and giggles, playing at a park near Plano with a guard watching. Marcus was at Horizon's HQ, briefing his board, when Lena's scream tore through his phone. "He's gone, Marcus. They took him." His heart stopped, the room spinning as he bolted, guards trailing. He sped to the park, tires screeching, and found Lena on her knees, sobbing. The guard unconscious, blood pooling from a cracked skull. A note lay in the grass. 5 million, or he's dead. No cops. Marcus snatched it, hands shaking, and saw the scrawl. Karen's kin, the same jagged script from the bomb. His stomach lurched. They'd hit his family again, deeper, a knife to his soul. Security swept the scene, feds on speed dial, but Marcus waved them off. "No feds." He rasped Olivia at his side. "They'll kill him." She nodded, grim, and traced the note's drop. Burner phone, untraceable. Marcus paid fast, wiring 5 million from a slush fund, no questions, his tech team hacking traffic cams for a lead. Hours crawled, Lena weeping in his arms. Her older son, Malik, silent, eyes wide with fear. At dusk, a text pinged. "Check the woods off Route 75. Marcus roared there in an armored SUV, guards armed to the teeth, and found Jaden, alive, shivering, tied to a tree, a gag in his mouth. He cut him free, the boy's sobs breaking him. "Uncle Marcus, they said you'd die next." Karen's extremists had struck, a ransom to bleed him, a promise to finish him. He trapped them, fast. His PIs matched tire tracks to the warehouse, crew fed swooping in, cuffing two, a wiry thug and a tattooed giant, caught dumping the getaway van. They sang in interrogation, pinning it on Karen's orders, her voice on a burner call. "Take the kid. Break him." Marcus watched the feed, fist clenched. Jaden safe in the penthouse with Lena. But the win was ash. He'd paid, got him back, stopped them. Again. His fortress held, the feds tightening the net on Karen's ghost trail. He sank into a chair, the city a dark sprawl beyond, thinking it was over, the breaking point past. He'd protected his own, survived their worst. But Ramsey's shadow lingered, his cash a lifeline to this madness, and Marcus knew it wasn't done. Then the convoy hit. He drove Jaden and Lena home at midnight, 3 armored SUVs in a tight line, guards scanning the dark. Highway 75 stretched empty, the night thick with tension, when a truck roared from a side road. A black semi, no plates, headlights off. It slammed the lead SUV, metal screaming, flipping it into a ditch in a shower of sparks. Marcus swerved, tires burning, Jaden screaming in the back as the semi rammed again, crushing the rear vehicle. His driver, a grizzled vet named Tate, floored it, but the truck clipped them, glass shattering, airbags bursting. Marcus shielded Jaden, blood hot on his face, and saw Tate slump, neck snapped, the wheels spinning free. The semi vanished, AUE phantom in the dark, as Marcus crawled from the wreck, dragging Jaden and Lena out, her arm gashed, his shoulder screaming from the sniper wound. Guards from the ditch fired at shadows, but it was gone. Cops swarmed, sirens wailing, medics patching them up on the roadside. But Tate was dead, 42, a father, loyal to the end. Marcus stood shaking, blood dripping, as Ramsey's lawyer called from jail, voice slick through static. "You'll never win, Holloway. Never." His stomach twisted. Ramsey, locked up, still pulling strings, his hate a machine that wouldn't stop. The feds found the truck torched miles away, no prints, Karen's crew suspected, but no proof. He got Lena and Jaden to safety, the penthouse, a bunker, medics stitching them up, but Marcus couldn't sit. Grief and rage collided, a storm in his chest. He'd doubled security, paid the ransom, saved Jaden, trapped the kidnappers, each win a lifeline, each time they cut it deeper. Tate's death was on him, a loyal man lost to this war. Horizon stood, his empire intact, but the cost piled up. His sister's home, his nephew's terror, his driver's life. Karen's extremists, Ramsey's cash, they wouldn't quit. Each strike bloodier, more personal. He stared at the city, the burner phone heavy, knowing he'd beaten them again. But the breaking point wasn't past. It was here, and they were still coming. Marcus Holloway stood in his Dallas penthouse, the city's skyline a faint glow through reinforced glass, his shoulders stiff from the sniper's graze, his hands still trembling from the convoy wreck that killed Tate. Jaden's sobs, after the kidnapping, echoed in his mind, Lena's gashed arm bandaged, the cost of this war piling up like bodies. Victor Ramsey sat in jail, his offshore cash traced to Karen Whitlock's militia. But she was still out there, a ghost striking his family, his life. Horizon Air stood tall, rebuilt from every blow. But Marcus was done waiting. He'd taken it in 20 minutes, turned their hate into victories, lawsuits, purges, rescues. But they kept coming, bloodier each time. "I'm ending her," he told Olivia Grant, voice a low burn. "Set the trap." Olivia nodded, her sharp mind already spinning. "Fake job interview. Horizon's hiring, she's desperate. We'll lure her in." Marcus's PIs crafted it. A cushy gig, senior, flight coordinator, posted on dark web boards Karen's crew haunted. The bait was simple: high pay, low scrutiny, a chance to crawl back into the airline she'd lost. They rented a nondescript office in Houston, a beige box with cheap carpet and a humming AC, wired with cameras, mics, guards hidden in the walls. Marcus waited, a ghost himself in a back room watching the feed. At noon she bit. Karen Whitlock, hood up, slipped in. Her wiry frame tense, blonde hair peeking out, eyes darting like a hunted animal. He stepped out, 6'2" of controlled fury, blocking her exit. "Karen," he said, voice ice, "we need to talk." She froze, recognition hitting, then sneered, her pale face twisting. "You!" she spat, backing toward the door, but guards materialized, locking it. "Sit," Marcus ordered, pointing to a chair. She didn't, crossing her arms, defiance blazing. "You stole my life, Holloway. I owe you nothing." He smirked, cold, and played the game. "Your bombs, your fires your sniper, caught on tape." He nodded to a screen rolling footage. Her tossing the Molotov at Lena's house, Travis's bomb plans, the ransom note for Jaden. Her smirk faltered, but she spat back. "You're a thug who doesn't belong. I'd do it again." Marcus leaned in, inches from her, his breath steady, hers ragged. "You're done," he said, hitting record on a hidden mic. "Say it. Why you hate me?" She laughed, a jagged sound, and let loose. "You're black, rich, loud. Think you can take what's ours? Horizon's not yours, never will be. I burned your sister's house, sent that bullet, took your kid. Should have finished you." Her venom poured, unrepentant, every word a noose. Marcus stepped back, guards grabbing her as she lunged, shrieking, "You'll rot!" He aired. It live. Twitter, YouTube, news feeds. Her confession blasting to millions. Her face a mask of hate. The room's beige walls a stark backdrop. Public outrage erupted. A tidal wave. Karen exposed trended. Clips of her rant racking up views, protests flipping. Now against her, signs screaming, "Lock her up." Horizon's stock spiked. Shareholders texting praise, the board solid behind. Olivia called triumphant. "She's toast, Marcus. Feds are moving." Karen was cuffed, dragged to a cell, her sobs ignored. Travis's crew crumbling under new raids. Marcus sat in his penthouse, the feed still playing, her words of victory hymn. He'd lured her, trapped her, ended her, again. Lena hugged him, whispering, "It's over." He almost believed it, the city's hum a rare calm, his empire secure. Karen's hate a shackle snapped. Then the hangar blew. At 3 a.m., a blast rocked Horizon's Dallas hub, a fireball swallowing a maintenance bay, jets grounded, steel twisting in the heat. Marcus jolted awake, phone buzzing, his ops chief, voice shaking. "Ramsey's people. Hit us. Lost 2 planes, 5 million in damage." He sped to the scene, armored SUV roaring, guards trailing, the night sky orange with flame. Fire crews battled it, hoses hissing, but the hangar was rubble, jet fuel pooling like blood. A note floated near the wreckage, singed. From jail, still king. Ramsey's hand, even locked up, struck hard. His militia cronies paid with. That last offshore stash, torching Marcus's lifeline. He sank millions to rebuild, rerouting flights, but the hit stung, a gut punch to his win. He thought it was done, Karen jailed, the hangar a fixable scar, until the feds pounced. At dawn, agents stormed his penthouse, suits crisp, warrants waving. "Terrorism ties," one barked, a bald guy with a badge cuffing him as Lena screamed. "Linked to Ramsey's crew." Marcus's stomach dropped. Ramsey's last card, a setup from jail, planting fake docs tying him to the militia. News. Vans swarmed, headlines blaring. "Holloway terror suspect." His empire teetered, stock plunging, board members texting panic. Olivia arrived, furious, shredding the warrant, glitches in the chain, forged emails, and by noon, evidence cleared. Him feds backing off, red-faced. But the damage lingered, his name muddied, horizon wobbling. He stood on the penthouse balcony, the city a dark sprawl, Lena's voice soft behind him. "Marcus, you won't stop, will you?" He didn't answer, the hangar's smoke still in. His lungs, Karen's rant a loop in his head. He'd trapped her, aired her filth, beaten Ramsey's bomb. Each victory a mountain climbed, each time they dynamited the peak. The feds' probe was a lie, sure, but it cost him. Trust, stability, peace. Horizon stood, rebuilt with his millions, but the toll crushed him. Tate's death, Jaden's terror, now this. Ramsey and Karen were caged, yeah, but their hate was a hydra striking from shadows, and Marcus knew the war wasn't won. It was endless. Marcus Holloway stood on his Dallas penthouse balcony, the city's skyline a jagged glow against the night, his shoulder aching from the sniper's graze, his mind heavy with Tate's death and Jaden's kidnapping. Karen Whitlock sat in a cell, her live confession, aired from that fake interview, still trending, her venomous rant a noose around her neck. Victor Ramsey rotted in jail, his hangar bombing a desperate jab from behind bars, but the federal probe stain lingered. Horizon Air teetering despite Marcus's millions rebuilding it. He'd beaten them again, exposing Karen's crimes, clearing the terrorism lie, but the war wouldn't end. Olivia Grant's voice crackled through his burner phone, steady as steel. "We've got Ramsey's fraud on the probe," she said. "Time to finish this." Marcus nodded, the city's hum a battle drum. "Do it." Olivia struck fast, filing evidence with the feds, forged emails tying Marcus to the militia, traced to Ramsey's jailhouse smuggler, a guard bribed with his last offshore scraps. By dawn, the probe collapsed, agents apologizing on TV, Ramsey's life sentence tacked with new charges, conspiracy, fraud, attempted murder. Marcus watched from his office, the hangar's scars visible through new glass, Horizon stock, steadying as the news broke. Karen's network crumbled next, feds raiding her malicious hideouts, East Texas barns and Houston basements, cuffing a dozen skinheads, their guns and bombs seized, her name a curse on their lips. Travis Whitlock's crew was done, his sister's orders silenced, and Marcus felt it. A reckoning, hard won, his empire clawing back from the edge. He thought it was over. The Hydra's head severed, Karen jailed, Ramsey buried, their foot, soldiers scattered. Lena hugged him that night, Jaden asleep, her voice soft. "You did it, Marcus. We're safe." He almost believed her. The penthouse a bunker of quiet, Horizon's flight soaring again. Then a memo leaked, slipped under his door at midnight, typed in stark black. "Ramsey was ours. You're next." His stomach twisted, the paper trembling in his grip. Olivia's PIs tore into it, tracing it to a burner email. But the real blow came hours later. A whistleblower from Horizon's old guard, a gray-haired accountant spilling secrets. "It's a cartel," he whispered over a secure line. "All white execs, 6 airlines, Ramsey's backers. They wanted you gone, a black man overstepping." Marcus's blood ran cold. The memo named them, CEOs from Delta-tier carriers, old money vultures who'd funded Ramsey's war, protests, bombs, raids to crush him. They'd crashed Horizon stock with insider trading, a coordinated hit after the hangar blast, betting he'd fold. He didn't. He struck back, ruthless, his tech empire's cash a battering ram. Olivia's team dug up their dirt, offshore slush funds, tax evasion, racist emails mirroring Ramsey's rants. Marcus bought their debt, just like Ramsey's, and called it in, bankrupting 2 in days, their jets grounded, boards fleeing. He seized the rest in a hostile sweep, merging them into Horizon, a billion-dollar blitz that rewrote the industry map. By week's end, the cartel was dust, their names smeared across headlines. Racist airline cabal falls to Holloway. The city buzzed, analysts stunned, Horizon's stock hitting new highs, his empire a colossus. He stood in his office, the memo framed on his desk, a trophy of their defeat. Lena cooked dinner downstairs, Jaden's laugh a balm, the penthouse warm with life. Peace neared, a fragile thread after months of war. Karen's rants, Ramsey's bombs, the cartel's greed, all crushed under his heel. He'd taken Horizon in 20 minutes, turned their hate into a dynasty, and now he'd toppled a system, built to bury him. The feds mopped up the militia. The board toasted his wins and Marcus let himself breathe, the city's pulse a victory march. He'd won. Again. Then the drone struck. He flew to Miami at dusk, a private jet testing Horizon's new routes, a rare moment to survey his kingdom from above. The Gulf glittered below, the cabin humming, when a flash lit the sky. A black drone, sleek and silent, slamming the wing. Metal screamed, the plane lurching, oxygen masks dropping as alarms blared. Marcus gripped his seat, heart pounding, the pilot shouting, "Brace!" They plummeted, 30,000 feet to 10 in seconds, the ocean rushing, up a blue grave. Guards wrestled controls, the co-pilot banking hard. And they leveled out, skimming waves, landing rough on a Key West strip. Tires smoking, fuselage cracked. Marcus stumbled out, alive, guards coughing, the jet a twisted husk. Feds swarmed, wreckage steaming and found it. Drone debris, military grade, rigged with C4, no prints, no source. Olivia called, voice tight. Cartel's last gasp, or Ramsey's ghost. Someone's still out there. Marcus stood on the tarmac, wind whipping his suit, blood trickling from a gash on his brow. He jailed Ramsey, caged Karen, toppled their backers, each victory a fortress, each time they breached it. The hangar, the convoy, now this. His empire stood, but they wouldn't stop, their hate a shadow that hunted him. Lena's voice rang in his head. "You won't stop, will you?" He hadn't, and they hadn't either. The jet smoked behind, him, a monument to their rage, and Marcus knew peace was a lie. They'd lost, but they'd kill him yet. Marcus Holloway emerged from the jet's wreckage in Key West, blood streaking his brow, vowing to rebuild Horizon Air stronger, a titan unbroken by racism's fury. He poured millions into repairs, new jets soaring within weeks, his empire a global force inspiring millions, black excellence defying every blow. Karen Whitlock and Victor Ramsey rotted in cells, their cartel crushed, the drones strike their last gasp. Then a newsflash hit. Karen, acquitted by a racist jury, walked free, smirking on courthouse steps, while Ramsey's prison death, shanked in a brawl, birthed a cult, white supremacists chanting his name. Marcus stared at the screen. The penthouse, silent, Lena's gasp behind him, realizing the fight wasn't done. His empire stood tall, a fortress of his making, but their venom festered, a hydra reborn, promising a war he couldn't escape. Power wouldn't shield him forever. How long could he hold the line? Marcus Holloway's saga is a raw testament to resilience against systemic racism, a roller coaster of triumphs and gut-wrenching setbacks that reveal hard truths. First, it shows that power doesn't shield you from hate. Marcus, a billionaire, faced relentless attacks from Karen Whitlock and Victor Ramsey, their racism escalating from slurs to bombs, proving wealth can't erase prejudice. Second, it highlights the cost of fighting back. Each victory, from owning Horizon Air in 20 minutes to toppling a cartel, came with personal losses: his sister's home, his nephew's safety, his driver's life. It's a brutal reminder that justice often demands sacrifice. Third, the story exposes how racism festers in systems, cops, courts, execs, all bent to break him, showing it's not just individuals, but structures that perpetuate hate. Finally, the twist. Karens. Acquittal, Ramsey's cult, teaches that winning battles doesn't end the war. Hate adapts, morphs, and strikes again. Marcus's journey isn't just a tale of grit. It's a mirror to our world, where standing tall invites backlash, yet folding isn't an option. He rebuilt, inspired millions, but the fight never stopped. A lesson in endurance over complacency. For us, it's a call to recognize these battles around us, to support those targeted, and to push against systems that protect the Karens and Ramseys. What's the takeaway? Resilience matters, but so does vigilance. Hate doesn't die easy. So what do you think? Can one person's stand really shift the tide against racism, or are we stuck in this cycle? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if Marcus's fight fired you up, and subscribe for more Real Talk stories. Share this if you believe in exposing truth. Thanks for riding this wild journey with us. Here's to strength, justice, and never backing down.